and welcome back. First off, I would just like to say I'm very sorry about yesterday's video upload. It was scheduled for 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, like always, but for whatever reason, it didn't go up. I didn't find out about it for a couple hours later. The podcast went up, my other video, my other channel went up, but I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm at the mercy of, the internet and technical difficulties. So I do apologize for that. I try to stay on top of it, but I don't know what happened. I really, truly do not know what happened, but thank goodness that I was told and I was able to fix it and got it up around 8. So I am sorry for the delay, but hopefully that won't happen again. And the devil didn't win by not letting us, have it and encourage each other and share what God wanted us to hear. So if you have this little book, we're going to start reading. We're going to be reading from page 20 and 21. It's under the grouping, I Was So Cross to the Children. And the title of it is A Mother's Prayer in the Morning. So let's get started. Thank you, Lord, for this glorious day. Bless the carpet beneath my feet and the bombardment of hot and cold water that freshens my waking skin. Bless the breakfast I am cooking for my family and the special music of morning around me, doors banging, the clatter of forks and plates, the rattle of lunch boxes, children demanding, "Mother!" Thank you for my healthy, available presence that is able to cope with them. Bless the husband who provides all this. Be with him as he sets off to work. Fill him with a sense of his own worth and achievement. Enrich and enliven his day. Bless the school buses and their drivers. Let them transport our children safely. Bless the teachers in that marvelous institution that claims my offspring for the next important hours. Please let them be good there, happy there, bright and able to grasp the lessons there. And thank you that they're well enough to be there. Now bless this quiet house, even its confusion and disorder, which speaks so vividly of its quality of life. Thank you that I have the time and the strength to straighten it. And thank you for the freedom to sit down with a cup of coffee before I begin. Wow. I feel that this prayer is definitely at a simpler time in life. However, I feel like more so than ever, we have to pray for our children. Be it your children, your nieces, nephews, if you don't have any children, your friends' children. Our children they walk around with such targets on their heads now, today, more than ever. And honestly, I cannot imagine bringing children up in the day and the hour that we live in. I fear for my grandchildren, honestly, and I pray for them because it is such a scary time. And we have got to pray harder and more now for our children than we have ever prayed for them in the past. They're just so exposed to so much that thank God I was never exposed to, and that my children was never exposed to. As wonderful as the internet is, it is such a horrible, horrible place. If used wrong. I mean, that's with anything in life, if used with the wrong way, and the wrong spirit, and the wrong attitude, it can be terrible. But the children are so much more vulnerable now than I ever was. I mean, yeah, we were taught, you don't talk to strangers, stranger danger. And we had my mom always had a secret code word between her and my brother and myself, that if anybody come up to us and said, your mother said for me to pick you up, if they didn't give us that code word, then we knew run the other way. She took all the precautions, and we just had a wonderful childhood. We were just not exposed to so much. We were very much sheltered to a degree. We were we grew up in the country. We grew up where we played in the woods. We didn't even really have a phone in our home, until I was like 15, I think it was. My granny had a landline, but she lived, beside us, so it was a trek to get over there, but we didn't even have a phone until, like I said, I want to say I was 14 or 15, before we ever got a phone in our home. And we were just, I look back now and I realize just how good we had it. Now my childhood was not perfect, and there's a lot of my childhood that I don't know if I have just blocked or what. I don't remember a lot of it, but the parts that I do remember, we just had the best childhood. We were able to get out and play in the woods all day. We would get dirty. We would camp out. It was just a wonderful time. So we were not exposed and such targets as the kids and children are today. School was a much different environment than it is today. I watch some of the news and I hear some of the stories about what is allowed in the schools today, and I'm just like, what? It just blows my mind that they think it's acceptable and that the parents are okay with it, some of them. You got some that are just downright refusing, to allow such filth and garbage into the schools, and, kudos to them. But, aside from school, the computer, everybody's got, I say everybody, the majority have internet, the majority have cell phones. Kids today even have cell phones, like little kids. Like my kids had to be a certain age before, don't even talk to me about getting a cell phone. And then when they did get their cell phone, oh yes, it was monitored, but you got little kids nowadays that have cell phones, and it just blows my mind at how accessible our children are these days, and there's just such targets. And so mamas, we gotta pray. Grandmas, we gotta pray for them grandbabies. Aunts, uncles, friends, neighbors, we gotta pray. I've talked about the little neighbor girl lives next door to me right over here, and her little friend on my other channel, we call them Dora and Diego, how I think their parents have kind of started like reeling them in some, because I don't see them just let go like it were, but they had been let go. I don't even know her name, we call her Dora, would just walk up into our garage with James in there by herself, and they don't know us. Of course, we would never hurt anybody, but it's just not safe. We have to keep our kids, we have got to keep our eyes on our kids, our grandkids, neighbors. I watch out for them, even though they're not my kids, and I don't see them running about like they were that I complained about. But even the little kids that I see out on the streets, I'm kind of watching and making sure, nothing's looking suspicious, making sure one of them's not getting grabbed and thrown in a car, even though they're not mine and I don't know them from, Adam. But we have to just pray for our kids, pray for our schools, just pray for our world in general. The way that I know it's all Bible being fulfilled, and I know that, it's just the way it's happening, but I sit back and I look and I'm just like, I just can't believe it. It just blows my mind to actually see what's happening in our world. And this is nothing political. This is down to morals and right and wrong. And it just blows my mind to see some of the things that's going on, and that the things that are just so freely accepted these days, that are just go totally against the Bible. Forget our opinions and thoughts. It goes against God's word. And, I know we are not to judge anyone, and I'm not casting judgment, but at the same time, I do know what the word says. And I believe that there is a fine line on being judgmental and then just knowing what the word says. And, You know, we have to stand up for what's right and what's in the word, you know. We can't just, now I'm not saying go out and you just shout it and you get in people's faces. That's not what I'm saying at all, but we can pray. We can pray. And that's what I do. And then if the Lord allows the opportunity and opens up the door for me to be able to talk to somebody and witness to somebody, I only do that under the guidance of the Lord, because self will get in the way, and that's not going to help anybody. It has to be under the directions of the Lord, because I'm going to tell you, so many people have been hurt by people coming to them and telling them, you need to do this and you need to do that, and the word says this and the word says, you know, witnessing to people when it's not of God, but it's of self. You know, you're putting your thoughts and your convictions and your lifestyle, you know, you're telling them all what you think and what you feel instead of being led by God. And so many people have been hurt, turned off, and just want nothing to do with it. So that's why I don't, even to my kids, y'all, even to my kids, unless I know it's from the Lord, I don't even tell them things, you know, or how I feel or what I think. Even if they come to me and ask about certain things, you know, if I don't feel it from the Lord to speak, I don't. I have in the past, and boy, has that made, you know, matters worse. But as I'm growing in the Lord, and as my relationship is growing in the Lord, He is teaching me. He's teaching me how to speak and when to speak and what to speak. And, you know, a person knows, nobody has to tell you that the Lord said this. When you start talking to them, if it's from the Lord, and you start talking to them, they're instantly going to feel it, and they're going to know, and they're going to receive what the Lord has for them. But if you let self do it, it's going to go in a whole different direction. And I know this from experience. I've had people call me, and when they begin to just open their mouth, I could feel the Lord, and I knew it was of God. And then I've had people tell me stuff that it's like they wouldn't know God in that. That was all flesh. And then I've been on the giving end of that. I've called people when the Lord has told me, and they have received what the Lord had for them. And then there's been times that they wouldn't know God in what I had to say, you know? So we have to be careful. That's why it all boils down to, y'all know what I'm going to say. By now, you know what I'm going to say. Prayer and relationship with God. And just like this mother gets up in the morning and she's so thankful for all the scattering and the doors banging and all the kids, and that they're healthy and the husband makes them a good living, and she's so happy that they're able to go to a good school. We can have this peace. We can have this through prayer and God. We can trust the Lord with our children when we're not around. We can trust the Lord with our grandchildren when we're not able to be around, and physically take care of them. We can trust Him. But what does it all come down to? Prayer. We have to pray. We have to pray that hedge of protection around our children. And I'm telling you, we have to pray it more now than ever before. I mean, the worst thing we had to worry about when we were growing up was, you know, walking up on a snake, or, you know, falling and getting hurt, scratching our knee or something like that. We didn't have the things to worry about that our children have today to worry about. You know, yeah, we were told I was told, you know, there's certain men, you don't need to be around them. You just kind of need to stay away from them. They're just a dirty old man, you know, stuff like that. But that's as far as it went. We weren't going into details. But now, our kids, it doesn't matter if they're a little boy or a little girl. It does not matter. There's a target on their head. And we have got to pray. Because God is greater than anything the devil can try to shoot their way. God is greater. I know I don't have children, little children, but I have grandbabies. I have grandbabies that I pray for because the world they're growing up in, I definitely understand it now where I didn't understand it when I was a kid or anything like that, but I definitely understand the scripture now where we got our emotions backwards, when we should be rejoicing when one dies, that's saved, because they're going to their eternal home to live with God. And we should be crying when a little one is brought into the world, because look at what mess they're coming into, And I don't want to put a damper on anyone who may be expecting children. It is a beautiful thing, and enjoy it, and just pray. Your life's about to change. If you never had a prayer life before, you're about to have one now. You're going to be praying, because your life is no longer your own when you have a child. It is no longer your own. You're only as happy as your happiest child. Everything that affects them is going to affect you 10 times worse, and it'll bring you to your knees. It will humble you and bring you to your knees. So enjoy that little bundle. I'm happy for you. If you're wanting children, I understand it. I had mine. I was wanting my son, and then the Lord blessed me with my surprise of my daughter. So I'm not in any way trying to discourage anyone from having children. Not at all. But I'm just saying, your life will never be yours again. It will humble you in ways you never imagined. It will humble you. Wow. God is so good. He is so good that He allows us the opportunity to come to Him and to trust Him with what He has blessed us with, our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews, and pray for them. We have that security, and we have that assurance that we can take it to the Lord, put them in His hands, trust Him, and He will take care of them. He will take care of them. He will send His angels to encamp around them and take care of them. And He's done it. He has kept mine from so much. Even still to this day, He's still keeping them. I know they're grown and married, but they're still my babies. And I still pray for them all the time. I still pray for them. I love y'all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.